everybody? I'm here today with an easy driving lesson on parallel parking too far from the curb. I'll specifically be going over how to fix it with 3 easy methods. Let's get right into the video. If you're parallel parking and you're constantly too far from the curb, whether it's a little bit too far from the curb or a lot too far from the curb, you can definitely use this video because I'll be going over 3 different options, and you can choose the option that works best for you and the specific driving situation that you're in. Let's get right into the video. Option number 1 is to start closer to the curb to begin with. Now let me explain. I'm in an empty parking lot now, just to be fully clear. There's no other cars here. There's one other vehicle up ahead, but it's parked there and it hasn't moved for a long time. I can tell by the snow around it. But there's no one else here, so I'm just going to use this as an example demonstration. We're not going to be parallel parking with a real parallel parking spot, and I recommend that you practice in this situation as well. Then you can move on to a real parallel parking spot when you're more comfortable with the options. So option 1 is start closer to the curb to begin with. Let's say that I'm lined up with where I would regularly be starting and I'm always too far from the curb. Instead of going like this, I'm going to go a little bit closer to the curb and straighten out. So what I did was I shifted my car probably about an inch over towards the curb, and I'm still lined up straight parallel with the curb. I'm starting off, okay, I'm not on an angle, but I just, instead of starting here, I moved an inch towards the curb, okay? Then I'm gonna go ahead and go through my parallel parking motion. Now there are a few different options for parallel parking that you can choose. Obviously, you know, there's different ways to do it. I'm just showing you one method. Okay, and what I did right now is I lined myself up perfectly next to the curb. I'm only a few inches away from the curb over here on this side. There's like those parking curbs, and I'm using those as a guide, okay? So you can just start still straight, still parallel with the curb. You're not starting at an angle, but you're just moving your car. Instead of being straight like this over here, you're shifting it an inch or so to the right. And you want to obviously be sure that you're not too close to the car that you're starting beside. When you're parallel parking, you start parallel parking beside a car, right? So you don't want to be too close where you risk scraping their car. So you have to find that balance between moving closer to the curb, but at the same time, not damaging your car or the car or anything else, and not hitting the curb as well, okay? So you got to move closer to the curb, but balance it out with the making sure you're not going to cause any damage or an accident at the same time, okay? Number 2, the second method, the second option, the second method, whatever you want to call it, is to go further during the second part of the movement, which is the straight part of the movement. So let me show you right here, okay? Let me get out of this zone over here, okay? Now, I'm going to pretend to parallel park right here, okay? So I'm putting the car in reverse, okay? Steering all the way to the right. This is the first, like I said, there's many options, but this is the one that I commonly use. This is the first part of the movement. Steering wheel being held all the way to the right. The second part, which is what I'm talking about, is when you steer straight now. Now I'm going reversing in a straight line towards the curb. So if you want to get a little bit closer to the curb, let's say I would regularly move to the third part now. I'm going to go back straight another inch or 2, just like that. Now I'm going to move to the third part. So what you're doing is you're going closer to the curb during the second part of the movement, and then now I'm in the spot, nice and straight, so I'm good to go. So during the second part of the movement, when you're going straight back towards the curb, with the steering wheel straight, you're gonna just, when you would regularly stop, you're gonna move back another inch. Like just try off the brake for a moment. Just move back another inch. Just ease off the brake. Don't take your foot completely off, but just, like, you're just gonna go back just a little bit, okay? So if I was in reverse going straight, it would be like this. That's it. I moved back like an inch and a half, basically. That's gonna put you closer to the curb, but once again, you need to find the balance because you don't wanna hit the curb. You don't wanna be too close to the car behind you or in front of you. You don't wanna scrape or hit any of them, and you don't wanna lose your good angle for parallel parking. So you need to find the balance, okay? It needs to work, basically. And if it doesn't work, you gotta go back to the drawing board and figure out what the problem is. The third option, and this is a rare scenario, but it depends where you live, is if the parallel parking spot is big enough, what you can do is you can actually straighten out and get closer to the curb in the spot. So let's imagine that I'm in a parallel parking spot right now, okay? So I parallel parked like that, okay? So we're in the spot right now. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and steer to, you're gonna put it in drive if you have enough space. You're gonna move forward, steer towards the curb, okay? So I'm going forward towards the curb, and then now I'm steering left away from the curb, and I'm straightening out like that. So you'll notice I steered right all the way towards the curb. When I steered left, it was just a little bit of a left, not all the way, right? And then I straightened out. So I'm moving further to the right, which is towards the curb. And then you can reverse again in a straight line to sort of center yourself in the parallel parking spot. Similarly, if you're all the way at the front of the spot, you can do it in reverse as well. So I can steer right in reverse to move towards the curb. Okay, I can straighten out like that. And then I can, when I'm straight in the spot and I'm closer to the curb, I can move forward and balance myself out centered in the spot once again. So it's just a matter of balancing out what's going to work. One of these methods will work for you. The reason you're too far from the curb and you're not close enough is because of one of these three things. Now, 1 and 2 are the ideal methods because they get you right where you need to be right away, right? But number 3 is a good option if you've already parked and you just need to move over just a bit and the spot is big enough to accommodate you kind of going back and forth within it a couple times, or even once or 2 or 3 times, then you can get closer to the curb. And it's also good steering practice as well as an added bonus. That's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.